Hi everybody, so as you can tell from the title, I am bringing back Project PANPORN, and this time we are kind of doing it 1 month, one palette style, instead of focusing on too many palettes for too long. I think that didn't work quite as well for me. So if you're not familiar with this project, this is something I started a long time ago. It's kind of a mashup of Project Pan and PANPORN. So that's a hashtag used a lot on Instagram, and it's used in various other places where people talk about their pan porn, which is basically a little bit of pan showing on an eyeshadow or some sort of powder product, or a finished eyeshadow or powder product, something where you see that nice silver entirely. I'm generalizing, of course, but that's just the general inspiration for this. I just wanted to play with some of my eyeshadow palettes and some of my eyeshadows and just try and hit pan on stuff, or just get some general usage on the palettes. Some of my palettes don't look very well loved, even if they are, just because I haven't really spent a lot of time with them. And I didn't want to do another Pan That palette because it's very time consuming, and it means that I have to neglect all of my other stuff, because you have to solely focus on that palette, at least until most of it's finished, before you can incorporate other things if you want to see that usage. With Project PANPORN, I'm trying to hit pan, not finish shadows, and I thought that I would show my Natasha Denona Sunset palette some love again, because I haven't been using this. I have been using the Metropolis palette, which of course is the newest addition to my collection. It was the first eyeshadow palette I'd purchased in a year, and before that I'd been using the gold palette. I really love the Metropolis palette. I think I want to use it in the month of December, so I thought that I would use the month of November for the Sunset palette, and I've actually been using this already. I've already done a few looks with it. I wanted to use it for about a week to see if I really wanted to commit to the Project PANPORN, and I have been using it. I've kind of traveled with it, aka taken it to my boyfriend's place, but it's been the thing that I've been using, and it's not as versatile as Metropolis, which I have been liking that a little bit more, but I think it really has a lot of those good solid fall vibes. So I'm sure you've seen this palette before, but just in case, this is what it looks like. I will show the close-up of the palette as it stands right now, so we'll have a good comparison when I check back in a month's time. I'll do a side-by-side then, where you'll see what it looked like and then a month's usage. I do have pan on one of the shades already. That is the shade Mandarin. That's a beautiful lid shade. I'm not going to swatch everything because I don't need to swatch it, but I will swatch that one shade just to show you what it looks like. This is why I hit pan on this one, because it's such a good lid shade. It's so easy to use. I love this. This is a really good like one and done, but then you can mix it with some of the other shadows in here and create more layered looks. I would use like the yellow and the orange, and even deepen it with like the brown, and you could use the red, create a little pretty sunset look, but very simple. I like that shadow, the Mandarin shade with the orange. Very easy. I really love gold shadows with orange. So this truly is a sunset palette. It's those beautiful warm shades, which I feel like is just beautiful for the fall time. It really does remind me of those dying leaves, which is one of my favorite aesthetics ever, and very appropriate for the month of November. So this is what I've been playing with. I'll show a couple looks that I did with this palette, the couple things that I got pictures with. Excuse the weird angles. I was just trying to get a shot of my everyday eyeshadow. Nothing very elaborate, but easy, pretty stuff. It's very easy to do something that looks more complicated with these shadows. I find Natasha Denona shadows very easy to use anyway, very quick, and you can blend them very well. I talk about Natasha shadows all the time. I love them, but you definitely don't need to rush out and buy this palette by any means. That's not the purpose of these videos. I'm just trying to give an idea of usage and play with it, and give a few ideas, recommendations for how to use like general color combinations. Some people might have already the ColourPop Yes Please palette, which is very, very similar to this color scheme wise. So there's a lot of similar things out there, a lot of warm shadows. There might be one or two unique shades in here. I'd say that most of these shadows are very easily duped in terms of color. That's something to note. This is not me trying to sell you this palette. I do talk positively about Natasha Denona stuff a lot just because I do like it. It was Natasha Denona is probably my favorite brand. Honestly, I just have had such great experience with the products, and I really truly love using them, and I love the whole aesthetic. That doesn't mean you have to like it, but maybe you can get some color inspiration from this. I will explain sort of the different pairings and stuff that I've used along the way, talk about my experience with them, if I had bad experiences with any of the shadows, how I used them, if I had to use them wet, certain brushes, any of those kind of things. And I find, for me personally, like watching Pan That Palette videos and 1 Month 1 Palette, it's just the ideas people come up with how to use things. I find sometimes with Pan That Palette or Project PANPORN, I do find sometimes with Project PANPORN I will end up gravitating towards one particular shadow. It tends to be a metallic shade, and that's usually a lot easier for me to hit pan on because I do use them wet. I don't always use Natasha shadows wet, even the metallics, but sometimes I do for ease, and it does help me with the way that I do my makeup because my everyday makeup is very, very quick. It's funny, when I was in Cleveland and Hunter was with me, she said that sometimes she's going to do like a get ready with me and talk about how quick I do my makeup, and it's true. I was done very quick, but the reason I'm done quick is because I do my base makeup first. I do all my foundation, concealer, all that stuff first, and then I do eyeshadow, because I find if I do eyeshadow first, I spend way too long on the eyeshadow. If I do the foundation first, then eyeshadow for some reason doesn't take as long, or I just do quicker things. Also, I think the way that I've done makeup has changed quite drastically as well, and there's things like the shadows and brushes that has helped a lot too, but also I think it's simpler. It's simpler. I've figured out a few basic sort of looks that I like doing, and it's just quick. But anyway, these are very easy to use. I have had quite a bit of experience with Natasha shadows, and I have had quite a bit of experience with this palette, but I want to have some more. I want to have some more usage. So I don't know what this palette will look like in a month's time. It'll be really fun to revisit this and see what kind of usage. I kind of feel like it's going to be like one of these two shades I'm going to have pan on, if I have pan on anything. It might just be usage as well, which is a fun thing about Project PANPORN. Maybe it could have a different name, which is why I kind of was referring to it as 1 Month 1 Palette, because some people do that and they don't really have a whole lot of usage, but some people are also very flexible with 1 Month 1 Palette where they use it the majority of the time, but not all of the time. In my case, I'm going to be trying to use this palette every single day. So we'll see how that goes. So far, so good. I've had a lot of fun playing with it already and revisiting it. I want to bring Project PANPORN back, even if it's not necessarily showing pan. I don't know how to rename it because I want to show usage and rotate through some of my palettes, because I feel like I have kind of stayed in a little rut where I was using like the Naked Heat palette and the Sweet Peach palette from Too Faced and the little Just Peachy Matte palette and a few other things that I'm just kind of like using a handful of them. My Natasha Denona ones, obviously, like the gold palette, but like I haven't been using the Sunset much. I haven't used Lila much, so I think in a future Project PANPORN I will tackle Lila and probably also revisit Tropic as well. If you have any palette suggestions for things that you know that I have, or if you're wondering if I have it, I would look through what I have and see if I have something similar at least, or maybe even just like revisit some singles which I haven't used in a while. Maybe that could be fun as well. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this project. If you have any ideas for like a different name for it as well, let me know. I could stay with 1 Month 1 Palette like other people do, but I don't really think it's the same thing as 1 Month 1 Palette, but it's similar. So I'm kind of at a loss for names. Maybe I'll just stick with Project PANPORN, and if I hit pan, that's great. And if I just have usage, I think that's great as well. I think it's good to show usage on products, and I like to see my stuff look loved. Some people like to keep their products looking pristine. I like to see it loved and rough, and for me it's like an artist palette, so I like to see it rough. I like to know that I was creating stuff. Things just changed here. Sorry, my memory card ran out of memory. Shocking. I need to get a new one. But anyway, I just really want to have fun with my eyeshadow again, but I do want to experiment more with what I already have, shop my stash, play with my stuff instead of just getting in a rut, which can lead to boredom, which can lead to, you know, makeup being uninteresting, being uninspired, can lead to wanting new things just for the sake of having something new when I have so many things that I could revisit. And that's something I think that's important and can be really refreshing with a no buy or a low buy, because you have these things already. Play with them in new ways. That's the good thing about panning, is finding new ways to use something, and maybe something you didn't like, you fall in love with. I've had a couple of people I think misinterpret things that I've said before. A lot of people were asking about stuff I said before about panning, about how I said panning isn't worth it, and that's not true. I said for me, at this point, it's not worth it because I'd panned so much before that I've learned a lot of the lessons that I can learn from a lot of products, but not everything. I just need to rotate through stuff instead of focusing on specific things. Like, my relationship with makeup has changed so much that panning was absolutely worth it and helped me along my journey, but I'm at a point now where I don't need to pan like I did before. And something else was brought to my attention about not panning things that you love, and I still stand by that, because I don't think it's worth your time to pan something that you know you're going to want to repurchase. That's what I was getting at with that. So, like, let's say I was going to pan this palette entirely, but I already had the intention of repurchasing it. It makes no sense to focus on this particular thing while I'm letting other things sit when I know I'm gonna just buy another one. I did that a couple of times with some products that I would just use insane amounts of, like, say, setting spray, like MAC Fix Plus. I'd use an insane amount because I wanted to pan it. But then I was immediately rushing out and buying a new one. So it made no sense to focus on panning it and using more than I normally would have, just for the sake of saying that I finished it in a panning project. So that's what I was getting at with saying that. I just addressed some of those panning concerns, comments I've had from people before. Like, that's what I mean by that. I don't mean don't pan things that you like and just pan things you don't like. Hopefully you don't have a whole lot of that stuff in your stash anyway, but I feel like opinions can change on products as well. A lot of my Holy Grail products are things that I did not love, and it actually became my Holy Grails because I panned them, because I was finding ways to use them. I was frustrated with them, and I was like, there's got to be a better way. Found the better way, loved the product. All of a sudden, it was the right thing for me when I was just, you know, using it incorrectly, using too much, using too little, using the wrong brush or the wrong layering product or whatever. So panning can really help with that and can make a huge difference in the way you use a product when you're trying so many different things out. But if you've already figured that out with that product and you already love it or you hate it, there's no point in spending so much time with it, because you're not going to learn anything else. So hopefully that cleared some stuff up with some of the concerns people had or questions that people had about my thoughts on panning before. But if you have any other questions about panning, any kind of product, whatever it is, if you have any concerns about things that I've said previously, please do let me know, and I will do my best to address them. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me. Let me know if you're doing a 1 month 1 palette or Project PANPORN or pan that palette even. Anything sort of like panning eyeshadows or using eyeshadows, I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.